depending on the scoreline that LeStream walks out with, and depending on what Empire does in their matchup against Mouse next week, if LeStream goes perfect and gets 6 points and clobbers Empire today, and Empire loses their next 2 matchups, it's possible that Empire loses that first overall spot. So as much as Empire is in a position to coast if they want to, they've got their spot locked in, they can try some new things, they can work on some new strats, they can see how Dan acclimates to that roster, as you mentioned. There's still a worry that they might end up being the 2nd seed, which would be worse for all the other first seeds right now, which is going to be Evil Geniuses in North America and then Fnatic in APAC. We're still waiting to see what happens with Latin America. But man, imagine having Team Empire as a 2nd seed. It's possible, though very improbable. So a lot of it hinges on this matchup in particular. LeStream must have a victory in order for that to happen. If not, Empire will clinch first overall in Europe with a victory or even a single point today. Your bans are going to come out, and Maverick and Miro will be the bans for Empire. Thermite and Kaid will be the bans for LeStream. And I think this might be the first time in quite a while that we're going to see a clubhouse with a single hard breacher on the board. It basically guarantees that Hibana is going to be ran every single round today. It's going to completely change the way that the attackers can line up. You won't be able to put the same emphasis on Dirt Tunnel. You won't be able to put the same emphasis on Church Wall when you're attacking the basement. And it also means that the ability to hold down that Jacuzzi wall on Jim's master side and the ability to hold down the CCTV wall over on the cache side will favor the defense by quite a big margin.
For CCTV cache, obviously this is going to be your primary as well, considering that Hibana is the only hard breacher. The interesting note to bring for this specific site is that 2 shields have been brought, one on either side, and they were both brought in the 6-pick phase. Karzeka 6-picking off of Doc onto Clash. That's interesting in itself, considering it's Karzeka on the Clash. Typically, he would stick on an operator like a Doc, take an ACOG and try and be a presence up in the rafters, maybe. Just be a presence anywhere with that Doc and the ACOG, the ability to take aggressive peaks, really, and not really feel too much damage for it, being able to boost himself back up with those stim pistols. Hicks bringing a Montaigne as well. This is a strategy we've seen. Okay, bye, Uno.
Oh, boy.
Get back on my point. Joystick. Spawn peeking the north stock door all the way into construction spawn. That was the only member for LeStream spawning on the north side. So we can say goodnight to Uno extremely early on in this matchup. Joystick, we talk about how, you know, maybe he's a little more dominant on the attacking side than the defensive side. I think maybe he wants to change that narrative tonight.
It's going to be a big dent as well in the way that LeStream is capable of playing. Not only is Ash a great operator that you can get in the hands of an aggressive team, which LeStream is, but also Uno tends to be one of their best players. So you've taken out a good operator, and you've taken out a good player. LeStream is not going to waste any time whatsoever, though. It's going to be a 2-point push from both Hicks and Aces over to the strip club side of things. They know that they've got a body somewhere in there. It's going to be Joystick, possibly hunted down on multiple angles, but he's going to take out Aces, immediately traded off by Hicks. So Joystick's roam. Take a minute off the clock, but also be rewarded with 2 very big kills. You're taking the Glaz out. The only set of smokes that you're going to have will now be in the hands of Hicks and Rise, so at least you had 6 smoke grenades on the board for LSE. I also saw one of the ex-Karos from Alfama go onto that garage panel, which will hopefully, for LeStream, add a little bit less pressure to a possible garage take. You can see Karzeka is going to patrol the opening that was created in the top left panel in the garage, which is a very common spot to see your ex-Karos used. Will give you a vantage point all the way up to the small window. As you can see there, from Rise's perspective, that's exactly where you expect somebody to go. This might get dangerous from Karzeka, though, as the asphyxiating bolt will go out, take a bit of HP off. Keep in mind, those asphyxiating bolts now spread, as it'll be shield-on-shield action onto the stairs. Put the asphyxiating bolt down, and this could be very dangerous, and Karzeka falls. So utility used from LSE, but not that much. They'll draw even after losing 2 bodies early to Empire, especially off of the play of Joystick.
Big problem with there is you've used both of your asphyxiating bolts, but you have not drawn out any of the smoke bolts either, so you still have 4 smokes at the availability of LeStream. And a 3v3 contest right now is descending upon the site from the rafters will be Hicks, as he's ADSing to remove the bandit batteries placed on the CCTV balcony wall. And there go the remaining 2 sets to light up and open up a hole for anyone to vault in through. And the only member outside right now is Alfama, as Rise and Hicks continue to push in through the balcony on the rafters. It's a pre-fires back and forth, but no one's going to land a shot. Now ADSing against the shield. Dan in contest won't be able to hit the headshot. Lots of sprays now coming in through the walls. You still have the Yokai set in place. One blast will be utilized to disorient Hicks, as he's going to have to get the plant down. Shepard looking to go for a vault out outside, and Dan, trading shots back and forth with Alfama, but it'll be Shepard to clean up Rise inside the rafters, pushing down Cash Hallway now, and angling it off will be Scyther. It's all the shield left alone, and Dan will clean it up for his first kill in Pro League. Looking like nearly a team ace there for Empire. Had Joystick not got two, and Karzeka fallen early, but Team Empire on the defensive side, with both hard breaches banned out, will take round number 1.
With LeStream losing those 2 bodies early, especially the Glaz, who could have put presence inside of construction or possibly even in cash, could have just walked in through the main opening as well inside of CCTV. There wasn't really much that LeStream could have done at that point, right? They took Garage and they decided to go for the opening that was created by the Hibana on the CCTV wall. And just because you're down 2 bodies, you can't stick somebody in construction. You can't stick somebody on red stairs. You can't have anybody over on Gym Master side, which is going to allow Empire to fall back, as we saw them do. They can keep a body on red stairs, which was the Echo. That's a good spot to be. As long as you don't need to worry about any pressure from Lounge downstairs, then that Echo can just sit there, essentially unhindered on his Yokai drones, giving the callouts needed and being able to take the fight if pushed. We saw Alfama push him, but I don't think he had full information as to where Scyther was playing. Additionally, the fact that Empire were able to fall back to construction, making LeStream have to take the site and go for a plant with a Yokai still in play, possibly a C4 in the hands of Dan, and then the plant denial as well from the smoke. You had a great lineup of operators from Empire that could just sit back and wait, and if there's 30, 40 seconds left, it gives a massive advantage to the defenders. It forced LeStream to be very aggressive and try to take the fights, knowing that they had to at least have a numbers advantage to get that plant down, given the immense amount of utility that was still in the hands of the defenders, and LeStream just wasn't able to do it. And that lack of presence inside of construction proved to be very damaging for them, and we'll see if they're able to rectify it, because I will imagine, in the fact there's still 5 rounds remaining, we'll see another CCTV cash hold from Empire. And it likely won't allow them to have an early advantage by getting a pick onto Uno the way that Joystick did. That's the kind of cheeky thing that you really only see once, and then the attackers get a little bit more cautious about it. So it's going to be a downstairs defense now. Down in the church side of things, a fitting place, given that it is Good Friday, and will allow Empire to go to their second defense.
Continuously droning out the garage here for the stream as they try and, I guess, isolate wherever Joystick could be. And he is not actually roaming right now. He's currently downstairs with the rest of his teammates. So, like you talked about, that intimidation factor. And one intimidating factor for Empire will be Karzeka on the Pulse now, having a Nitro Cell at his disposal. And Hicks apparently being a very important portion of this attack, running the Montaigne in back-to-back rounds. Typically, you see the Montaigne prioritized for a garage push when defending CCTV cache, but Hicks going to bring it out in round number 2, knowing that they'd be attacking downstairs. Joystick narrowly escaping the purview of Rise from the top of blue stairs, and the X-Kairos now will attach themselves to the hatch tops and start to blow those open for angles downstairs. Well, with Thermite being banned out, that means you're not going to be able to open up the church wall, at least not in a way that would allow you to walk in. And if you want all 3 hatches open, you're definitely not saving any X-Kairos for the downstairs wall into sight.
Having a singular hard breacher on the board for a church take is an awfully hard thing to do. And I think that's why you're seeing LeStream essentially triple up on the smokes. You're presuming that Joystick is going to be running a Jaeger most of the time, so that ADS is likely going to be able to catch at least 4 of those smokes. Keep in mind that, the asphyxiating bolts and the smoke bolts aren't going to be caught by the ADS. But speaking of, you're going to see Joystick get flushed out of blue. Sitting and waiting, watching the door as Shepard gets the very first kill of the round. It comes with only 50 seconds left. So LSE will find themselves down a body and their literal shield, as Hicks will be off the board, and also a set of smokes. So LSE will try to recover. It'll be in the hands of Rise. Joystick gets a bit too aggressive around the Moto door, and Rise will now try to take out the diffuser. But no, Scyther cuts down Alfama all the way at the end of the hall, and Rise will just sit and wait patiently. Grabbing that diffuser, he's got the Glaz with him, but there's not a lot of time to work with. Oh, Uno just missing Scyther. A bit of a strange play there from Uno to completely avoid the Echo, who is still deeply entrenched inside of blue and has these punch holes, possibly able to prey on somebody. Through the hole, it's going to be Aces to take out Scyther, seeing him, and Shepard taking out Rise. It's going to be an absolute slugfest inside of the church, but it's all up to Aces. Very little on HP. No time available, and as you can see the red pings, he was under watch that entire way. No step was going to be made inside a church for aces that wouldn't have been given to the rest of Empire, and they will take their second round in a row.
Honestly, this whole game should be extremely defender-sided, so if you're out there and you're a LeStream fan, I don't think we've even seen anything too catastrophic from LeStream in either of these rounds. The spawn peak and then subsequently letting Joystick get another pick on the roam clear in round number 1 was a little worrisome. But at the end of the day, they were still able to bring it back down to a 3v3 on a site push. The problem with only having one hard breacher and having it be Hibana is that you're very limited in the amount of surface area you can open up onto any one of these angles, and it allows too many safe havens for these defenders. So if you are a LeStream fan out there, don't get too concerned right now. And I mean, even if this does head to a 5-1... Okay, maybe a 6-0 split is kind of where we start talking. Maybe this is danger territory because you can't make one mistake for the rest of the game. But even a 5-1 split, I could see happening here, considering the rotation that'll be necessary. And that's exactly what Empire will go for here. Their tertiary bomb site will be selected to be the gym and bedroom, a bomb site that is pretty tough to defend on a normal day. Today's not a normal day. We've got LeStream battling for a land spot right now, and Empire testing things out, and I'm not sure what happened to that rotate hole there, but Dan is finally able to squeeze on through. His castle barricade setup is quite standard. You castle off the gym window, you castle off the door to the hallway, give your bandit some time and some breathing room if a Zofia or an Ashe is taken to take down those castle barricades. At least have the barrier of 2 so that you waste all their utility on those.
I think you nailed it when you said how defender-sided this is going to be. Leave it to Empire, though, to be able to come up with some kind of ingenious tricks on attack and get around the fact they only have a singular hard breacher. I mean, Hibana's going to work really well no matter what on most maps, but just putting everything in her hand, given the fact that the X-Kairos can't open up as wide of a berth as an exothermic church does, is going to, quite dramatically impact the way that you play around most of these sites. It'll be most pronounced on that church site downstairs, solely because you usually want to get at least 2 of those 3 hatches, and if you do that, well, it's only going to leave you with 1 set of X-Kairos. That's it. Speaking of 1 set of X-Kairos, you can see an impact trick here from the Alibi, who's under watch from several members of LeStream, but you can't tango with the Montaigne for the time being. At least one of those doorways will be cut off. She's just seeking to wait and hold out on the angle. Spotted yet again, as Karzeka is quite a focal point here. He'll get all but it appears to be 1 X-Kairos, so can possibly be picked away at through that small hole. But look at this, 1 minute and 10 seconds has been wasted just trying to determine the location of Karzeka. And the apprehension from LeStream, because they are aware of how good of a shot he can be, it means that you might not end up escaping without losing a body at the same time. So 2 asphyxiating bolts will get thrown in. Karzeka will lose half of his HP. Finds himself in the Lion's Den right now. Going against the Hibana, will land a couple shots onto Alfama, but ultimately lose. It's a gambit that for Team Empire just bought them half of the round of, I suppose, some relief, as now LeStream realized they've been able to flush out cash and they can reposition.
Honestly, it's a worthwhile trade right there. You saw Dan coming in support from the the bedroom window in towards construction wall as well. He's just sending some shots in there, hoping to get lucky, but looks like Joystick has been droned out downstairs inside of the bar, right beside the jukebox. That's precarious for them as well. He doesn't have a nitro cell, but he could be a flank potential operator heading towards cash stairs and coming in behind the majority of this LeStream push. They refocused and sent Uno in downstairs. And just as he enters in the pool table window, Joystick is able to maneuver in behind that half wall. Drone has lost visibility on him, but default camera will call out to Joystick as the flashbangs ring out as well, playing inches away from one another. Finally, the drone will spot him out, and Joystick giving away his location, and Uno not pushing just yet. Able to escape again to the front door, but finally locked down. Joystick eliminated, but again, we sit at 30 seconds. Dan and Alfama will trade, dropping us down to a 4v2 for Shepard and Scyther to work their way out of. One made it into Jim. With that castle barricade still standing, that'll be up to Scyther to burst through. Looks like it's been prepped and it has, but as he rips it down, Aces on a good reaction will drop Scyther, now leaving Shepard alone inside of logistics, working out of a crossfire that he doesn't really have an escape of, and that'll be Uno, sending him to the grave. Good, nice little finish there for Uno and the rest of the LeStream in a round that really didn't look like they had much of a shot with how much utility and time was burnt trying to establish Karzeka's location. Good response from them. After the site was left open, they were able to take advantage.
And you gotta have to imagine the pressure that LeStream knew that they had on them as they're seeing the clock just bleed away, trying to figure out where Karzeka is. Using his 2 impacts to cut down on the X-Kairos, essentially not necessarily wasting the hard destruction that was in the hands of Hibana, but at least severely reducing its impact at the hands of, haha, an impact or two. I was also very skeptical of the way that LeStream was going to be able to recover there, but once they took control of construction, it just kind of snowballed from there. They still had the Monty up. They could still push on in. You dispatch Uno downstairs to try and figure out where Joystick is, who, in most circumstances where Joystick was playing, could have been particularly advantageous. You can retake and catch somebody off guard. Keep in mind that Nomad is not banned, yet LeStream isn't running her. And with the fact that you're going so smoke-heavy on LeStream's side, there might not even be a Claymore in play here, depending on the way that you're looking at it. Depending on the lineup that LeStream is bringing, rather. So there's really nobody to watch flank, and there's no peace of mind that you get from any possible gadget that can watch that flank either. Joystick could have been able to push onto that position and been able to have that information and use it to his advantage, but it was not to be. Uno was essentially sent down to try and find Joystick, while the rest of the team did what they needed to do on the site, leaving, once again, Empire too far off. Very similar to what we saw on the CCTV cash hold in round number 1 was that Empire fell off, conceded most of the site, but they knew they had the tools to work their way back if they needed. Also aware that LeStream didn't really have the tools to do much when they actually got to the site. Difference being was that LeStream still had plenty of utility, and you didn't really have all that much on Empire's side of things, just simply because of the way the gym is set up, and then also where they were playing. It's a good effort, at least, but Shepard's not going to be able to win a 1v4 in that position when you've got, you know, walls that you can't spray through and a couple members of LeStream watching. So, we're going to see. As they go back upstairs to the cache CCTV site on Empire's side, they lost the last round. A lot of their success came early on, taking out Uno and then grabbing a second kill fairly fast. Is it going to be the case on this round?
This is such an awkward angle here from Ace as he tries to rappel upside down on the garage door. He's actually landing shots. Karzeka, about 60 damage all the way up on the rafters. OTS-03, and again trying to isolate off Karzeka. Now he'll be burnt alive by the asphyxiating bolt. Drop down. He has a dock so he can revive, but Hicks will actually be the one to clean it with the pistol, point blank range. They got pressure from down below as Joystick inside of Oil Pit will be droned out and spotted by Hicks and have to retreat. It's a good start here for LeStream, though, able to identify and lock down Karzeka again. And that's a stark difference that I've noticed so far for Empire, is that Joystick and Karzeka aren't playing as close together as they used to be.
No, Karzeka's moved into more of a support-oriented role recently, and I'm assuming this was deliberate. He had a decent tournament at the 6 Invitational, but then since then, he hasn't really shown the same prowess that he's had previously, and I think that's hurt Empire, definitely. Used to be having Karzeka playing on that aggressive Zofia role, and used to have him also taking many fights on defense. Hasn't been the case at all, and he doesn't have a kill yet on this entire game. He won't, as he fell in this round without much of an altercation involved. Doubling up for LSE, a beautiful shot from Aces as you lose both Joystick and Shepard. It's going to be all up to Scyther and Dan. Scyther proving his worth time and time again, but the newest member of the team, Dan, will have to show his. It's a 5v2 as site execute going down, 40 seconds left. Not a lot of time to work with if you're a defender because the attackers will be pushing on in. Reposition the Yokais, why don't you? You see all the marks, lots of information there, but Uno's going to be able to grab Scyther, and it's going to be no miracle there for the Echo. Everything's going to be in the hands of Dan, who looks for one kill. He finds on Alfama, but he's completely blind, and his wall will fall, and it'll get picked away from Aces. No cover whatsoever, both metaphorical and physical, as it was taken away due to the caliber destruction of that Glaz rifle, and it'll be LeStream righting the ship on the cache CCTV defense, in large part because they didn't lose that utility early, they didn't involve themselves in fights needlessly, and once they flushed Karzeka out of garage, they had a clear path to lead up to the side wall that was somewhat exposed, and then able to be shot away from the Glaz leading inside of CCTV.
Yeah, no, I talked about how, if you're a LeStream fan, don't feel bad if it's a 5-1 split. They've guaranteed at least now that the worst hole they could be in is 4-2. And right now, the way that LeStream are playing and picking apart each individual item from Empire, I'm waiting to see what the other shoe is going to be for Empire. That's always what it is. You think you've got them figured out, and then the other shoe drops, and all of a sudden they throw another corkscrew at you that you just can't handle. I'm waiting to see what that is right now for Empire because they haven't really brought that out. It seems like they're pushing one person to contest with the majority of the push. They kill about 30 seconds to a minute, then they die. Then they send another person out. All right, go deal with the rest of the push for 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's a minute of surviving the site execute. I'm waiting for that extra flank. I'm waiting for that extra person to jump into the engagement to make it a two-man hold in wherever they're trying to be, whether it's the rafters, whether it be down below in garage, whether it be inside of cache. waiting for the adjustment here from Empire, because so far it's been LeStream making the adjustments and Empire running the same thing, and it hasn't really worked out so far for Empire.
If Empire are not successful on the Church defense in this particular round, then I think things go sideways real fast for them. You know, you said that this was going to be a largely defender-sided matchup, and this site in particular does not lend itself well to having a single hard breacher the way that you can possibly pull it off with the other two sites. I mean, very similar to Bank, Clubhouse is not a lot of fun to attack without two hard breachers at minimum. We're used to seeing a Maverick get banned here because of how strong he can be, not just on hatches, but also able to cut down the walls using that blowtorch technique that we've seen where you cut the top and the bottom and the middle pane falls off, allowing a Buck or an Ash or a Zofia or a Sledge to get full value out of the soft wall that's remaining. But I think LeStream is playing this right. They were likely anticipating that they would be running with a singular hard breacher. I mean, hey, it was LeStream who banned out the Thermite. They understood that they were going to be playing with one Hibana. And you know, having Empire run Thermite as reliably as they do, it might have a dramatic impact on the way that Empire plays on attack, not just because there's two hard breachers gone, but also because one of the operators that they often use won't be available to them. We focused on Karzeka in the previous round, Rob. He switched off to a Pulse and is going to completely change the way he plays. Now, given this site, it's possible that you might have him playing in the spot that is referred to as Pulse Spot, which is just down over by the wall leading to the bottom of main stairs. It's a good quarterbacking position. Also looked like Aces was possibly going to crawl up the stairs there on Oil Pit, but there was a member of LeStream not too far off. It's smart for Joystick to back up.
You can see Joystick constantly toying with Rise. The rate of fire on that M249, not the greatest, so you're going to have to hit a pretty perfect shot to be able to take down Joystick. There goes one of your Yokai drones that was providing calls and intel for Joystick. And he's going to reposition once again away from the hatch. As last time, it was the two asphyxiating bolts utilized to try and push him out of the position. He was successful in doing so, but at the end of the day, it's still Rise collecting onto Joystick. The M249 will chew him down from above, raining Hellfire in. And now it's LeStream angling in to take their site control. It's the same progression we've seen time and time again for them on this push, going in through Moto with your two smoke operators, and as long as Rise is successful inside of Blue, they've had a pretty fun time collapsing in upon Church. There has been one member of Empire to reposition towards Blue Stairs, and it looks like it was Dan or Karzeka. It is Dan, and he will ultimately fall to Alfama. Another one on Karzeka, as it's just dominoes right now for LeStream. Shepard, the lone man inside of Church, is going to have to contend with Hicks. He's going to lock him down, pull out the pistol close range, but oh my, he whiffs it, and now Shepard's able to collect the kill. The plant going down and Rise on an immediate trade onto Scyther, so it leaves Shepard alone. The one man behind the bar. What a beautiful shot onto Rise, deep in behind K9. The plant gets completed, though. He's got two stacked in Moto. Alfama able to clean that one up as well, and LeStream, 3 straight. It's dire straits for Empire.
Empire really didn't need to take a lot of those fights that they took. Joystick finding himself in the line of fire, playing extremely loosely and very aggressive, fed right into the way that LeStream has been playing this. LeStream are not wasting any time. They realize that if they put one round of Xkaros on that church wall and then control 2 of the hatches, that's all they need. They can completely annex the kitchen side, which they've done so far, and just focus on controlling Blue, controlling Moto, and once you claim church, you don't have enough destruction caused from either a Thermite or a Maverick to have to worry about all of those lanes that defenders can fight back from. You keep your Glaz in a position where Aces survives to the latter portion of the round, and he can just hold down an angle. And Aces is a player who just doesn't miss his shots. If there's somebody that you want just sitting there holding an angle, daring the defenders to peek him, Aces is as good a candidate as any. I really like what we're seeing out of LeStream. This aggressiveness is seemingly getting under the skin of Empire. They don't really know how to deal with it, and they're letting Empire fall right into this trap, like I said. Knowing that Empire can be quite aggressive, ultimately, Empire is playing themselves right now. Be able to get a successful plant down with one hard breacher on Church downstairs isn't something that you see to be quite common, and now we're going to see if Empire can possibly right the ship, or if LeStream is going to get a second victory in a row and propel themselves to a 4-2 split. In the meantime, with both hard breachers banned, one of which being LeStream's choice, leaving Clubhouse tied 3-3 on attack is pretty good, and we'll see if that can continue through that second half. We got about 3 minutes to go on the very final defense for Empire.
I like what you said about the aggressiveness coming out from LeStream, because it's not that evident, really, that the aggressiveness is there, but their willingness to take fights and their willingness to smother one lone member of Empire. That's really the difference maker for LeStream in comparison to a few of their games in the last few weeks. For them as well, it seems to be having an effect on the mentality of Empire. And this is pure speculation from my end, so I don't have comms, obviously, and even if I did, they'd all be in Russian. But for Joystick to not take that full flank up the oil pit ladder into garage, we saw him crawl up. You can see the silhouette of Aces outside the garage, but point blank, you're going to win that with a 416 against a Glaz any day of the week. But to see him then go back down, that's weird. That's the weird thing for a Joystick, is he'll take a shot when he knows the hole is there. The hole was there, he decided to play safe. And it seems like all of Empire are opting to play a little bit safer than they usually do, given that maybe they don't like Clubhouse, because typically they don't play a whole lot of Clubhouse. Or B, they don't like the way the LeStream are locking them down as soon as one member gets separated from the pack.
I'm not entirely certain. Keep in mind, as we said, that with Dan being added to the roster, there's likely some cohesion that has fallen off in comparison to where Shockwave was, just because you got a member of your team who might not have a lot of experience playing alongside you. And when you look at the tools that Empire are running, they have opportunity to shut down a lot of the operators that LeStream have. You know, you've got a Glaz and a Montaigne that have largely been on a buddy adventure here together, sticking side by side with Hicks and Aces, coordinating very well. And my, Dan just absolutely obliterated. Finding himself in the line of fire. You lose your Legion with a minute to go. That's a couple goo mines that won't be available to possibly halt the advances of the attackers. It's also going to allow Aces to continue to take up space inside of blue, walking on in. He spots another body, but he can't pull the trigger fast enough. Understanding that there might be some counterfire. He'll seek the safety, but he'll find Scyther after Joystick takes out Uno.
Good trade there, is Joystick really being the difference maker. He's gone upstairs, but Ace is still just devastating everyone on Empire. That's 3 on the round for him. He could go for the ace, but up above is Joystick, and that'll end Aces' reign. Inside of the blue door, now a second one, unaware of Joystick positioning up top, has leveled things at a 2v2. A Nitro Cell being sent out by Karzaka, cannot collect, and now sprays of Panic Fire up against walls. You've still got Joystick looking to return down the main stairs as Hicks, on barely any HP remaining, tries to drop down a plant. Again, the pre-fires through the walls will not connect. You have a rotate in the main hall where Joystick is positioned. Alfama can't pull the trigger, and Joystick will rip through him. The Russian machine looking to bounce back as it's just Hicks alive, floundering at the door now, trying to go melee against melee, and he'll be down and finished off. Karzeka able to get his first kill of the game, and that is Team Empire equalizing. A beautiful flank there from Joystick being the catalyst to stop Aces in his tracks.
Joystick being able to go up, and as you said, a bit more patience that he's shown. The hesitancy in the previous round to take the stairs into Oil Pit, and then going upstairs inside of stock and patrolling that hatch, getting the kills onto both Rise as well as Aces. That ultimately swung the tide of the round. It doesn't help that Alfama missed his shots against Joystick inside of the main hallway. Had Alfama landed those shots and still been upright, with a Monty and Hibana still alive against Karzeka, who hadn't found a kill at that point, you've got to imagine that LeStream would feel pretty confident, and the round likely would have gone a different way. Sometimes really all it boils down to is you can do the best setup in the world, and you can have a great strategy that completely opens up the entire site. But if you lose one gunfight in a very pivotal moment, as Alfama did there, which happens to players all the time, then you end up seeing the round completely swing over. Need I remind you, though, that Joystick play on the hatch took out 2 incredible operators and 2 strong players of LeStream, and was single-handedly what turned the tide of that round. Probably should have been a LeStream win, but Joystick said, no thanks, I'm going to take it this time. And he took it from there, which will allow both of these teams to essentially go back to 0-0 for all intents and purposes and move us into the second half, where LeStream will now have 6 opportunities to defend and 6 opportunities for Empire to attack. Empire will bring the singular Heart Breacher, no real surprise there. You put Karzeka off of the Zofia onto the Hibana, and I wonder how much Shockwave, moving off of this roster, picking up Dan, who has good fragging potential and a good aggressive upside, will move Karzeka to more of a support-oriented role. As I said, he has had a bit of a slide in terms of his performance over the last couple playdays, at least what we were used to seeing from him, as he had almost overshadowed Joystick a number of playdays in the first half of the season. Put him on the more hard breach, support-oriented role and see what he can possibly do to that effect.
For Dan as well, it provides more opportunity for flexibility on the operators, simply because we've talked about Empire so many times, how they're so rigid in their operator selection. They run like 6 or 7 attacking ops ever, and that's all they choose to run. I don't think I've ever seen Empire in every game that I've seen of them run a Capitao. Could be wrong, they might have pulled it out once or twice. It's not a very common operator. Then the buffed Capital will certainly help with this, but also just having a new player who might be more comfortable on these ops, especially being in a flex and fragging position on his former team, might be able to benefit from this. Got Joystick on the IQ, though. He's going to be continuously working his way downstairs. He's able to spot out Rise, and he's worried about a Nitro cell coming up the floor at him and him being able to see its rise to the floorboards and decimate him. He'll be utilizing these breaching charges, and this was one thing for Joystick as well. We talked about it in an interview, or talked with him in an interview just a few weeks ago, where we asked, you know, what's the change with the ACOG on Ashe doing for you? And he says, yeah, screw the R4 and screw the G36. I'm on to greener pastures. And he said IQ was his newfound flair. So the 6 picks in that round end up being Hicks going from Maestro to Echo, directly into Joystick's Jackal to IQ 6 pick. So they mirror each other. It'll be Joystick will have to utilize his utility to spot out these Yokai drones wherever they may be, but there's a lot of utility on the side of LeStream that could be spotted out by Joystick.
Joystick also has been running that Nomad, but you don't really need her here on Clubhouse, especially when you assume that most of the defenders will be sitting down in the site. And because of that, I mean, there might be some small flank routes within the actual site itself, but by that point, you're better served using utility for other means. And that's exactly what you're going to see in Joystick. It's a smart 6 pick because you got the Pulse on the board, you got the Echo on the board, and you have the Legion as well. So while LeStream was able to set a much faster pace through the latter half of their attack, it's going to be Empire taking a bit of time to figure things out. First kill will go on to Aces, though, as it's Karzeka being able to take out the Legion. It's going to be tough to come back from that in terms of what Elysian brings to the table. We'll also see some X-Kairos go down as the Pulse felled from Shepard, and good coordination there as you saw Karzeka droning. LSE actually had a great bout of droning, and now it's going to be Empire doing the same thing, but you don't really need a drone there when Uno misses all of his shots, and Joystick is able to take him down. See if Hicks is going to be able to do much as he now moves on to the blue stairs. You'll see an aggressive play from the smoke of Alfama, and LeStream are in really bad shape, to say the least. Only 15 seconds left. It looks like it's going to have to be a kitchen drop hatch. Whether or not we're going to be able to see something from Alfama, but Hicks is on a rotate now. Shotgun gets pulled out. It's a double shot onto Shepard, down amidst the smoke, but he's going to miss onto the Capital, waiting to hear the M249. Alfama not spotted just yet. Joystick going for the plant. Oh, we have an opportunity. LeStream in the last second. Oh my goodness, what a play. And everybody from Empire still upright, but nobody is able to spot the smoke, and it's an absolute calamity on the site. LeStream take it, and they regain the lead.
What the hell? Okay. Let's refocus, everybody. Alfama, you magician. That was probably the most awkward series of events that have ever transpired downstairs inside of Clubhouse. Alfama able to shroud himself in the smokes that were dropped by Dan. That's a bad break for the new guy, especially considering he smoked off the rotate, dropped the hatch, ran into his own smoke. Alfama and Dan play Ring Around the Rosie inside the smoke. Alfama even tries to gun him down with the shotgun inside the smoke, but misses. Oh, just like you said, a calamity of absolute, I can't say that word on broadcast,
It was
errors.
mayhem.
There you go, mayhem.
It was absolute mayhem.
Chaos. Nothing but chaos. And, I mean, props to Alfama to keep composure in that situation. You know, your nerves in that point will probably send you to, yeah, I need to get kills right now. We're down 3 people. They're going to be going for a plant. I just need to push out of this smoke and be the best implementation of a Terminator I can be. The patience. Overwhelming on that one. And honestly, that looked like it should have been an Empire round through and through. LeStream getting caught out through kill holes in the floor inside a kitchen multiple times over really set them at a huge disadvantage. Alfama being the saving grace.
And I feel like I was just complimenting the drone work from Empire as well, and then nobody seemed to have bothered to drone out where we saw the smoke playing for LeStream. It wasn't there, you know, and you allowed Alfama, who has gotten better progressively over the entire course of this season, to just wreak absolute havoc. Get 2 downs and then finish off the planter in the final second. Empire's wasting no time here, though. They've managed to open up that CCTV wall, in large part because of good coordination from Dan to be able to use the asphyxiating bolts. It pushes Aces off of the wall. Hard to really emphasize how strong those asphyxiating bolts are now that they grow as much as they do. Yeah, they don't do as much damage, but in a competitive environment, you're not usually using them for damage, you're usually using them for area denial. In this case, your area that you're denying is the wall in which you'll see the bandit tricking. So you've opened up at least a vault hole that is possible for Empire to be able to work on in, and it's going to go against them, though. Dan, who's making his Pro League debut, mind you, is caught out by Uno, who's positioned up on the rafters, essentially, just simply waiting. A bit of dizziness there for you. Hopefully you don't feel motion sickness. And it's Uno now who's going to be sitting inside of Garage with Rise. Very little focus from Empire on Garage. A lot of teams used to tussle with Construction. That was the main focus point for a lot of the attackers. It switched to Garage. It now appears that Empire favoring the Construction side of things, but there's a restlessness as they now look to possibly be changing things around and going with Logistics Office. Joystick finds himself in an altercation, but he's not going to find anybody on LeStream's side of things.
Curious enough that Joystick apparently has already utilized 3 breaching charges. Really only see one spot where it could have happened, maybe a second one in the back garage walls, but outside of that, a lot to be done with those breaching charges, yet he has used them all elsewhere. Oof. Darting right across now is Joystick as it's Hicks unable to collect the kill onto Joystick, but he does land a shot onto Karzeka as he goes sprinting wildly into Construction. The drone will identify the positioning of Hicks again, but Joystick carrying the diffuser will dictate this push. The Construction push is going to be pretty hard when you don't have a hard breacher left on the board, and he already utilized all of his X-Kairos elsewhere as well. Just a problem of not enough breaching utility. Uno still playing up in the rafters, just no longer on top of those bookshelves. Ace is on a flank throw through Master Bedroom, will take down Joystick, and now Shepard playing circles around him. Can't spot Ace is tucked in behind the kitchen island, and now last man alive is Scyther. Uno cleans that one up as well. LeStream, after a round where they looked like they were about to get dominated, they seem indomitable.
It's been a good run from LeStream over the last 6 rounds. They've only dropped 1. You have to imagine that was a big momentum swing as well for Alfama in that position, because you win a round that you had no business winning at all. So you win church, you win cash. Where do you go? You're going to go to Gym Bedroom. That's really the only place that you can go, because you're not going to see anybody go to Bar Stock on that main floor. Doesn't really see a lot of play. I think the only real region that we've seen run it more than once or twice was North America, and it didn't work out so well for the defenders, and I think that's a key part of why you don't see it anymore. Gym Master, or Gym Bedroom as it's called here, might not necessarily be the best place for the defense, but it's certainly a lot better than that first floor. It's also typically the site that you expect the defenders to lose in a perfect world on a perfect rotation here. That's why we see a lot of these teams come out of the clubhouse defense up 4-2, because they'll usually win both of their church defenses, they'll usually win both of their cash/CCTV defenses, and then they'll forfeit Gym Master for a variety of reasons. If that's not the case for LeStream, then they move to match point, and they pick up 1 point, which can be very crucial in the fact that there's only limited points left in the 2 play days, both today and next Friday, with LSE trying to make the push for the playoffs.
And that's the big thing here. If you're Chaos, you're looking onward and watching this game and wondering, gosh darn it, Empire, why couldn't you grab that kitchen round and keep this at a 4-4? Nonetheless, they would have gone back to kitchen. We could have still found ourselves in a 6-4 instead of a 5-3 regarding the progression of the rotation, and still found ourselves here on a Gym Bedroom. But the way that Empire attacked kitchen before, and should they be able to drone out a smoke laying in wait in deep arsenal, should be able to convert on that round next time if things go the same way. So still doable here, but only one hard breacher again seems to be the culprit for a lot of these attacking sides. And LeStream were able to work their way around it with a very smoke-centric and lots of pressure in towards one single point. When you have a lot of hard breachers, you can open up a lot of different angles for yourselves. You can open up a lot of different entryways. For LeStream, they seem to be isolated on one specific push, and that doesn't seem to be the way that Empire are trying to attack this. You know, they'll have a majority of members on one side of a push, but they still got people going in for flanks and going in for one-man missions. Joystick is now swapped over to the Glass, and I imagine that'll be to keep him with the rest of the team, as it was LeStream with their almost identical lineup, actually, of LeStream is Empire rocking. Now you've got the Glass back out, you got the Monty, you've got the Capitao, so it seems like Empire, in a struggle to find perfection, have gone in the ways of LeStream as far as their operator choices.
I think Aces is realizing here that you might not necessarily have this same push on the Jacuzzi walls. He picks up one of those bandit batteries and then moves on over. This is a very obvious castle setup You mentioned that Team Empire was mimicking a lot of what LeStream was doing, except they're bringing the Thatcher. Well, it also appears that LeStream is mimicking much of this gym setup. Joystick unable to hit all of his shots needed, but he's going to do a lot of damage to Rise. Hicks pops out of nowhere, shuts down Karzeka, and there goes your lone hard breacher. So you've been able to put all of the focus. Hello! Damn, Daniel. There's Uno able to gun him down, not expecting a Jaeger on the other side of that castle barricade. And now Empire have lost two very important pieces of the puzzle. You lose the Capital, you lose the Hibana. It's going to force Scyther into a contest, but it's 2 kills from LeStream. And, well, poor Shepard. He's just going to sit and wait. What can you do? You have a 1v5, Aces is down, and Rise might also be down as well. So it's essentially a 1v3, but Hicks is on such low HP, this could become a 1v2 very quickly. It's very winnable for Shepard, but he's going to have to rely on LeStream not throwing this away, because it will be LeStream losing it rather than Shepard winning it in most cases. EMP from Shepard will go out to collect 1 kill onto Aces, possibly stat padding for the time being. He'll find a second onto Rise through the body of Aces, at least from our perspective. And Shepard falls down. So he's going to kill some more time as he now needs to rotate. The fadeaway EMP will take out the Evil Eye Cam, at least for the time being. And he'll ascend towards the main stairs. But he'll be making an awful lot of noise in the process. Hicks on low HP will still exist with Alfama and Uno there, and those are good shots that are just simply waiting. The EMP at the top of the stairs for Shepard will give his position away yet again, and he'll tussle. He's not able to land the shots. Pulls out his pistol, but this will be in vain as Uno will move LeStream to match point. And that'll be 1 of 3 points for LeStream as they look to give Empire another loss on the season. A very impressive performance from LSE so far.
So considering that Empire didn't have a loss up until just a couple weeks ago, I'm going to assume that Empire has the tiebreak currently over LeStream. Not sure what it would be. But
it was 7-1. So when these two teams faced one another, it was 7-1. So no matter what happens, the fact that Empire have won 3 rounds, they're going to hold the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I was just thinking maybe there could be a tiebreak change here, but apparently not.
It would have to be, yeah. It would have to be a 7-1 scoreline for LeStream just to equalize, at which point it would have come down to round differential, which Empire is just crushing most teams
destroying. I think they were plus 32 heading into the day. This won't help, because now they can't win, so they're at least going to draw even at plus 32, or they're going to take a hit to their round differential. We're going to be heading downstairs to Church and Arsenal as we take a few extra moments to load in, but it seems like we're fine. We survived. We're good. All right. 6-3 scoreline here in favor of LeStream. So they've already guaranteed themselves a crucial point, and that could be a deathly blow to Chaos. We have to wait and see how the outcome of the rest of the games transpire. But you've now guaranteed that even if you walk away with a draw in this scenario and Chaos lose, the best Chaos could do is tie you in points. It's still scary, though, Chaos is the tiebreaker.
Keep in mind, we can now say this.
Yeah.
LeStream has gotten 1 point out of this contest, which means that officially, for the first time since the 6th Invitational 2017, the roster of G2 will not be present at a Pro League event or major. It is impossible for G2 to qualify for Milan now. And later today in their matchup against Chaos, there will be huge stakes for Chaos, but ultimately none for G2. So they get themselves what I think a lot of people would say, and I say this with respect, a well-deserved break.
Yes.
So there will be a second team that is not G2 in Milan. We'll see with a victory here if LeStream can also eliminate Penta, because Penta right now is hanging on by a thread. They need to ensure that there's only 1 point. And Joystick just to spray through the ground, just to capture Aces. That is a wonderful shot. A bit of luck on his side there, and for LeStream, they lose 1 of their operators very early.
So there goes Aces. Uno's on 50 HP, just above that right now as well, as he took a little bit of damage earlier on in the round. Couldn't tell if that was actually from a failed spawn peek or if that was from prep phase. But nonetheless, LeStream have still guaranteed themselves the point, but they want to wrap this up with a nice little bow. Uno will be playing downstairs inside of blue, and he'll have to contest with Joystick as he'll look to move in and grab one of the strongest pivot points in the basement of Clubhouse of all time. Seemingly a replication here for Empires. They were well-handedly suited to attack downstairs into kitchen last time around. They had a 5v2 advantage that only really fell apart because of time and because of Alfama. Look to replicate the defense here will LeStream as well. Down a man, though, and almost down another on Uno inside of Blue Tunnel. Sounds like he's battling up against Joystick. A Nitro Cell will soar out errantly and will not connect. Got inside of Blue now is Uno pressuring onto Joystick, so he'll level out the health difference between the two, I guess, and even come away slightly better off. But the rate of fire on the PDW, we have another thing to say to Uno should they come into another engagement.
Uno also had some support, I would say, from Hicks's Yokai drone, which is inside of Blue, which might persist for the time being. I don't know if it's been taken out or not. Keep in mind that because there's a Thatcher on the board for Empire, they can find those Yokais pretty quickly. There's no IQ, though. As you've seen, Joystick is on the Jackal. It worked well with the PDW to get the kill on Aces. But since then, Uno's really been the only person from LeStream who's had to sweat all that much. 40 seconds now in which LeStream can all but assuredly book their ticket to Milan and eliminate Penta from the playoff race at the same time. But Joystick has something to say about that. Both Alfama and Uno have been downed. You see Alfama get finished off. Rise falls as well, and Hicks is going to find himself in a 2v5 as he gets Uno back to I guess 20 HP. But Uno's not long for this world. Hicks is just waiting so patiently. He's not going to have a ton of time to get this off. Look at the clock. It'll hit the 6-second mark, and Hicks is just going to wait ever so patiently. Unless there's a second Yokai in play. But oh no, it gets shot! And that will assuredly be a successful plant down. Whether Hicks is going to be able to make it out of Oil Pit, it's going to be a slippery situation, to say the least. He'll find Joystick, but the Jackal was already quite weakened. The MP5 at that long range, unless you're hitting on the head, doesn't do a ton of damage. It won't do much there either. As Hicks is just going to trudge along in his own barbed wire, he'll be stopped short. Empire will not let LeStream walk away with this just yet. They'll continue playing onwards as it's an unsuccessful defensive church downstairs. The first unsuccessful defense for LeStream, but they'll have 2 more opportunities to put this one away.
Good news for LeStream here is you've had 2 pretty shaky defenses downstairs inside of Church and Arsenal. You can go back to CCTV and Cash, because you most recently also just won Gym and Bedroom. It's not a bad look here for LeStream, as they were pretty dominant on their top floor hold. Both of them, actually, CCTV and Gym Bedroom. Empire not really finding a way to chew through the armor that LeStream had set up on their defensive side. So, an attempt to close things out swiftly in a 7-4 contest. Not something that can be said for many teams being able to do against Team Empire. That is not a common feat, being able to take them down in anything less than 12 rounds, or possibly requiring overtime in a best-of-3 matchup.
I wonder what it's going to take for Empire to break out of this slump, because even in a couple of the rounds that Empire has won, they've looked a little shaky. Mind you, we can kind of forgive them for this matchup because they are still getting Dan into the Empire ecosystem. He's been a little bit snake-bitten. As you can see, he's got 7 assists, which shows that his contributions haven't been able to net him the full kills, but he's still doing what's needed of the team, and it's going to take some time for him to be able to get into the rhythm, I'm sure, replace what Shockwave was capable of doing on this team. LeStream has looked really good. Aside from their disappointing performance at the Invitational, falling out in the group stages, it's been full steam ahead for this team, and I think falling short of Milan would be a major dash to their expectations as a roster.
For LeStream here, it's about replicating. It's about doing it time and time again, getting your reps in and trying to perfect the setup here. You're looking to close out 1 round of a possible 3 remaining, including this one. And Joystick will start things off again with pre-fires through some soft environments, but it won't net him a kill, as Ace is not coming anywhere near another soft floorboard or soft barricade again for Joystick to spray through. So that first quick kill that Empire got last time around won't come this time, and last time around it was Dan utilizing those asphyxiating bolts up into the rafters to collect not 1 but 2 kills in tandem with the fire that was being brought in from the rest of the guns on Empire down towards the door. We've got Karzeka, I guess, second guessing where he wants to put this garage hole. He's actually going to do it on the bottom of the left panel. That's not your most common position for that peak hole. Typically it's top right to watch the window rotate from rafters, but he's actually going to do 2. So they're going to make a walk-in hole into the bottom of garage where it looks like it's Rise on the Jaeger going to be contesting from the bottom of garage. Either that or Aces on the Bandit. No, it's Rise inside a lounge door, and he's waiting for Joystick to push in. Clearly the drone's not going far enough, and Joystick not patient for the calls to come out, and he'll sacrifice his life to Rise for free inside a lounge.
Not a good start for Empire there, and a bit of a head-scratcher for them to be able to open up that garage, not prioritizing the more common areas. It also looks like Karzeka might have missed the alignment of the X-Karos, which means they might not be able to walk in as they'd hoped. Tragic if so. as you noted, a lot of teams will go for the top right panel and then just use the other two on the wall. It's not going to be the case. So clearly Empire is looking maybe to use that to try and put the pressure onto Rise. This good coordination to catch Uno at the top of the stairs, playing on those rafters, but Rise still has not been spotted just yet. The good drone work from Empire seems to be against them. Hicksit's going to gun down Dan, and he's not going to be able to do much about all those assists. No more kills will be added to his tally for this round. I mean, you've lost Uno, though. You've lost the Smoke, who's playing up top, who's able to survive effectively. That's a good operator in the clutch of the round. It's also going to precipitate a Rise, or it's going to, I guess, necessitate a rotate from Rise. He's going to try to get back in. Shepard's just going to barrel in towards the site, finds himself right in the crosshairs of Aces. And unless Scyther and Karzeka are able to perform a miracle, and this is going to be all but over. Ace's position still not given away. A beautiful kill on the Scyther. And Karzeka will have to do it all himself. But he's under position, he's under fire, and Rise will put this one away. Not only will G2 fail to make it to Milan, but so too will Penta. The only other team that can possibly challenge against LeStream is going to be Chaos. We'll see them in the very final match of the day. LeStream is a hair away from being able to qualify for Milan. A very good performance over Empire and a tumultuous slide for what appeared to be the Titans of not just Europe, but also all of Pro League. Even though the fact that Dan was able to provide a good contribution to this team, it wasn't enough to lift Empire into a position to take out the second-place team in Europe.
Yeah, and for this game as well, like we said, it's a lot of mixing and matching here for Empire. It's a lot of experimenting with new things. I think that double hard breach on Clubhouse really screwed with them. They didn't really look like they knew how to attack all that well. In comparison to LeStream, who clearly brought out that thermite ban, they were intending to bring this strategy, so they clearly had more practice and more expertise in attacking Clubhouse with only one hard breacher. And LeStream stumbled a little bit on the offset. You know, they come out and they lose the first two rounds pretty swiftly to Empire. And I'm saying, you know, don't worry, it could be like a 5-1 split. It's going to be a defender-sided game. It did end up being a defender-sided game, but the attack wins from LeStream, really the difference maker in that entire matchup.
After those first two rounds that Empire were able to take so decisively, the first round might have been a bit of an outlier just because Joystick got the spawn kill onto Uno, which you can't rely on every single round. And as I said, after that, it didn't look like Empire even tried for a spawn peak. Everybody from LeStream is going to be anticipating it to a certain extent. But it's actually remarkable the way that LeStream were able to bounce back, because those two rounds were not that difficult for Empire. They looked like they weren't breaking much of a sweat. And LeStream just got into this groove and really started to take advantage of the fact that they had the thermite ban. It was obviously very well coordinated from them. It was calculated, and it seemed to have caught the rest of Empire off guard, because even when Empire had Karzeka on hand with the X-Karos, it didn't look like Empire knew how to work around the fact they had a singular hard breacher. And that is one of the keys to defeating Empire. They are very good at doing the same thing over and over again, hitting their shots, having great decision-making skills, and good droning. You know, there was speculation that the reason why they like going to maps like Constant and Oregon is because they are so played out that you can basically play the same strat over and over and win every time. You can't really do that on Clubhouse, not with the way the rotation is. So for Empire, you've lost 2 of the last 3. You have a draw. You're still looking for a victory over the last 3 weeks. They have an opportunity to do that next week. But that's it for this matchup. Our next matchup is going to be Mouse versus Penta. Penta's trip to Milan was just canceled, effectively, with LeStream's victory. So we'll throw to a break, and then we'll come back with match number 2 of the day.